Assalamualaikum. I used to think I lost my marriage in court. Well, that was the story I told people. But if I'm being honest, I lost it long before that. And if you're going through this right now, or just came out of it, you need structure, not guesswork. So download the Muslim Man Rebuild Playbook in the description. It's what I wish I had when everything felt messy, when my mind was scattered, my emotions were unstable, and I didn't know what to fix first. It gives you a clear system to rebuild your mind, your discipline, your finances, and your direction. Because if you don't rebuild properly, you don't move forward. You just carry the same problems into your next chapter. Let me tell you where I went wrong. I remember sitting across from her during one of our final conversations. No shouting, no drama, just silence. And that silence said everything, because that's when it hit me. We didn't break in one moment. We faded, slowly, painfully. At the beginning, I thought we could keep things respectful. I told myself, hey, we are adults. We have history. We will handle this well. But I underestimated what happens when divorce actually begins. Lawyers came in. Money became a topic. Families started getting involved. Emotions got sharper. And suddenly, it didn't feel like I was dealing with the same person anymore. That was my first real wake-up call. Hope for peace, but prepare for war. Not because you want conflict, but because once the process starts, it's no longer just about feelings. And I wasn't ready for that. Not mentally, not legally, not financially. I thought being calm and decent was enough. It wasn't. But that wasn't even the hardest part. The hardest part came after everything quieted down. When I had to sit alone, with no distractions. Because for the longest time, I blamed her. And maybe some of it was justified. But one night, I asked myself something I had been avoiding. What did I do that contributed to this? And that question changed everything, because I started seeing patterns. How I shut down instead of speaking. How I avoided difficult conversations. How I tolerated things I shouldn't have. How I choose comfort over truth. That's when I realized I was the common denominator, not the only problem, but part of the pattern. Then I started replaying our arguments. Not what we argued about, but how I showed up. I reacted too fast. I spoke too harshly. And I escalated things that didn't need escalation. At that time, I thought I was standing my ground. But looking back, I just didn't have control. And that cost me more than I realized. Because self-control would have saved more than being right ever did. And then came a truth I didn't want to admit. I got comfortable. Too comfortable. I stopped doing the small things, the attention, the effort, the playfulness. Before marriage, I noticed everything. After marriage, I assumed everything would stay. And slowly, that assumption killed the connection. Not in one big moment, but in small neglect, day after day. And communication, I thought I was doing it, but I wasn't. I was there physically, but not emotionally open. I kept things in. I avoided tension. I suppressed them and stayed quiet to keep peace. But that silence, it wasn't peace. It was distance, because by the time I spoke, there was already too much built up. That's when I learned avoiding conflict doesn't save the marriage. It slowly disconnects it. Then I look at how I chose her. And this one hit my ego, because I realized I chose with emotion, attraction, chemistry, the way she made me feel. And I ignored patterns, things I saw early that is not what I'm comfortable with. But I didn't want to confront, because I didn't want to lose her, because I didn't want to be alone. And that's dangerous. And here's why. Because you choose from emotion, you are negotiating with many things that is not compatible. After the divorce, there was a quiet phase. No one really talks about it. Where you wake up and there's no one there. That emptiness, it tests you. And I understand now why some men rush into the next relationship. Because being alone feels uncomfortable. But I almost made a mistake, trying to use someone else to fix what was broken inside me. And that's when I caught it. Marriage doesn't fix emptiness. It exposes it. Then reality hit it in another way. Money, legal responsibilities, structure, things that I never took seriously before. Now, everything had weight. Assets, obligations, future planning. And I realized I handled marriage like a romantic, but divorce treated me like an adult. Hard, direct, unforgiving. And when I started thinking about remarriage, I thought it would be simple. Fresh start, clean slate. But then I looked deeper. Children, schedules, emotions, past connections that don't disappear. And I realized it's not a reset. It's a continuation with more complexity. Blended families? Oh boy, that's hard mode. You cannot rush connection. You cannot force bonding. That requires patience most men don't prepare for. But the biggest lesson, pain doesn't make you wiser. I have seen men go through divorce and come out more bitter, more guarded. Same men, just heavier. And I didn't want that. So I sat with it, reflected. I faced uncomfortable truth, took responsibility, rebuilt from the ground up. Because if you don't process the pain, you don't grow. You just carry it. So, no, I didn't lose my marriage in court. I lost it in the things I ignored, the things I avoided, the things I didn't understand yet. But that loss, It forced me to rebuild into someone better. If you are in that phase right now, don't just survive it. Rebuild properly. Download the Rebuild playbook in the description. And if this hit you, subscribe. And tell me in the comments which part felt a little too real.